And welcome back. The Center for Bronx Nonprofits is the resource sharing space, which actually strengthens the capacity of local community leaders and organizations that are serving the Bronx. Now, thanks to recent funding that's been given to the organization will be holding a free program addressing succession planning. And we've got now with us the director of Center for the Bronx Nonprofits at Hostos Community College. We've got Eileen Newman, and it's been a while, Eileen, but glad to have you back.
It has been a while. It was between COVID and then me getting my own show. I've done 51 shows since I was last on Open.
Wow. See what happens? Yeah. We start you off and then you branch off and 51 shows. Well, I'm glad you can come back and share with us.
Yeah, of course. So
we're having, I was gonna say we're having a great conversation right now talking about succession planning. And I think it's something that many times families, businesses don't do, right? When we talk about succession planning. So give us a little insight.
So I started to look at the whole issue of succession planning a while ago, thinking after the pandemic, were people going to think about leaving? And actually, when I first got the job 10 years ago as director of the Center for Bronx Nonprofits, that was a big conversation in the Bronx, that succession planning wasn't really something that was happening. And so to give you an example, an executive director knows they're leaving, decides to leave, tells the board, maybe leaves in a month, but there's nothing done to set anything in motion other than the board thinking, okay, we have to send out applications, let people know there's an opening, but they don't really look at the organization to figure out, what do we really need? Maybe that leader's been here for a long time, and maybe the organization is somewhat different now. So we spoke to a funder who's been wonderful to us from a New York Community Trust and said, we'd love to do something really intensive about this issue. At the same time, I have to say at this point, at least once a week, I get an email saying that somebody is leaving their organization here in the Bronx.
When you talk about people leaving, obviously the next move is I got to fill that spot. And hopefully you're able to fill that spot with somebody who's competent, somebody who can do the job. And many times that doesn't happen. And a huge hole comes into a company. And it takes 6 months sometimes, maybe even years to be able to recover. And succession planning is one of those things that is not always a foolproof measure, but it's certainly a good stopgap measure to prevent that business, that organization from tanking and really going to another level.
And sometimes people come in and they're not a right fit because there hasn't really been a lot of the work on succession planning. And then they have to go through it again. So what our program does is starts with a test, an evaluative tool that the board people, whoever if it's not, maybe it's not even the executive director who's leaving. Maybe it's the head of development. Maybe it's an important program person. So the organization then takes this evaluative tool and looks at, what are the things that we need? What kind of person are we going to need to come in to fill this space? Then we're going to follow that with 5 workshops, one with executive directors, and then 2 with executive directors and the board chair, and then 5 with examples of people who are important to the organization. We're following that with peer learning networks that will go on for a number of months so that organizations can bring people together to talk about their challenges. And then we're also going to be bringing in a coaching element at the end of almost a year. And that's really going to be looking at something that also has been happening a lot. What happens when your organization has had a white leader, has had board members who are all white, and you bring in a new leader who's a person of color? how does an organization go about doing that in a sensitive way so that people feel comfortable? And so we're going to be concentrating on that in our coaching. So it's succession planning with an equity lens. And we think that this will make a big difference for organizations, and especially now when so many things are changing. It's not just people leaving, but it's people really looking at their organization and trying to define how should they be working, should they be making changes. So we're excited about this, and we've opened up our application process already. We've got some really good people who are looking to examine this. And succession planning really shouldn't start when you know that people are thinking about leaving. It should start almost as soon as you get a job in an organization.
Right. Well, talk to us. There's an orientation that's going to be taking place on February 14th.
Right.
Give us a little bit about the calendar and how people can get connected.
Okay, so what they should do if they're interested in this at all, they should email me and I'll send. It's a 3-part calendar. It's an explanation of all the different pieces, so I can send you all of that. So if you email enewman@hostos.cuny.edu, I can send you everything. And if you just have questions, then email me with all those questions and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. We're going to have an orientation, sorry, I should back up first and say that the registration is due, and I'll send you that material. It's due on the 10th of February. And then on the 14th, as you said, we're going to be having a session to really talk about all the different pieces so that people know, if they make this commitment, exactly what they're committing to. I think, honestly, if somebody else was doing this, this would cost thousands of dollars. And we are able to, because of the generosity of New York Community Trust, we're able to offer it for free to organizations.
And that's great to really be able to offer this, because I think so many organizations don't think about it until it's too late, or you watch the ones that are highly successful, and many times transition and just having the right person that you can bring along and say, this is going to be part of the succession plan, takes the trajectory of that organization to a higher height. So
absolutely.
It's great. It's great that you're doing it. Great that you're talking about it. And again, February 14th is the orientation. Once again, Eileen, let's give them the deadline.
The deadline is the 10th to get the registration material in. And it's not a big thing. It's basically just a little one sheet, and you don't have to fill that much out. We just basically want to know who you are and that you're interested, so that we can keep in touch as we transition the materials online.
Oh, great. Well, definitely want to let you know that you can get more information by going to bronxnonprofits.org, and you can get all the information there. Eileen, thank you so much. Great having you back on the show, and got to have you back sometime soon.
Yeah, it was good to be here. Thanks a lot.
All righty. Well, you take care, and listen,
you too.
Again, if you want more information, don't hesitate. Go to the website, bronxnonprofits.org. All right, we got more show. Don't go anywhere. Open continues right after this.